Garrus and Rex have relatively similar personal missions, so that's... I mean, if you don't take them with you, they don't really get angry about it. They're just kind of like, well, you know, it doesn't make much sense that you didn't take me with you. So that's just how that goes. Oh, more Codex entries, great. I don't think Adams has anything new to say. Let's see if Tally has anything to say.
Shepard, I'm glad you're here.
Oh, you sound a little bit better now.
Good to see you smiling again, so to speak.
I'm sleeping much better now. I guess I'm getting used to how quiet your ship is. I still think a lot about my pilgrimage, though. I know Steren's our top priority, but with all the worlds we go to, I was hoping to find something to bring back to the flotilla.
You mentioned you needed to bring back something of value. I'm sure we'll find something along the way. We fight enough geth.
We've still got a long way to go. You'll find something to take back.
Yes, but it cannot just be some derelict ship my people can use for salvage. It has to be more than that. There's a lot expected of me.
Why is that? Are you, like, part of some, you know, higher socioeconomic status family? Or, like, how's that work?
What's so special about you?
It's my father. He's the senior member of the Admiralty Board. He's one of only 5 people who can overrule the decisions of the Conclave for the good of the migrant fleet.
My God.
My father is responsible for the lives of 17 million people. Our entire race is in his hands, and I'm his only child.
We have a princess on board the ship. I didn't know that.
So are you some kind of heir to the Quarian throne or something?
No, it doesn't work that way. My father's position isn't hereditary. I'll probably never serve on the Admiralty Board myself.
Oh, well.
Officially, I'm just the same as any other citizen. But it doesn't work that way in practice. People have always treated me differently because of who my father is.
Preferential treatment. So it's not hereditary, but they still treat you like a princess anyway, or like somebody who has they have high expectations for anyway?
You must get all kinds of special privileges.
I probably had it easier than most growing up, but it's not all good. People like my father have enemies, and they're not above using me to get to him.
Man, that's not good. It's a lot of pressure, yeah. It has to be a lot of pressure considering where she is in the, you know, hereditary line there.
It must be tough on you.
My people place a high value on family and ancestry. There's an unspoken expectation that I'll live up to my father's example. Everyone's waiting for me to do something great on my pilgrimage, something that will forever change our lives for the better. If I don't, it's like I failed, and that reflects badly on both me and my father.
Well, Tally, I don't know if that's gonna, what if we save the galaxy? Yeah, I mean, there is this whole matter of what if we save the galaxy, but I don't know if the Quarians would even know that Saren is a problem, because they're kind of, you know, holed up in the flotilla. So, like, would they want... But we don't want a bad reflection. We don't want Tally to get a bad record just because we couldn't find something of value for her. So we'll keep looking.
What would you need to bring back to make everyone happy?
Something that would help us better understand the geth. They've changed significantly since the exile. They've continued to evolve. We've done our best to study them, but it's not easy. They're very reclusive. Until recently, they never went beyond the borders of the Veil. And all the geth we run into now are under Saren's control. We'd need to find geth operating on their own, independently. But I don't want this to get in the way of our mission, Shepard. First, we stop Saren. Then I'll worry about my own problems.
Well, to be fair, there is that whole geth incursion thingamajigger that we just found on Pharos, so maybe there'll be something there that can help you with this whole thing. Well, we'll see. You mentioned your father a lot. Mind talking about him a little more?
What was your father like?
It wasn't easy growing up as the daughter of one of the Admiralty. Even before he joined the board, he was a prominent figure. People looked to him for leadership. He had to set an example, and he expected the same of his daughter. Plus, he was pretty strict, a military man through and through. He never allowed me to settle for anything less than excellence. As a kid, I sometimes felt like he was pushing me too hard. But now I'm old enough to appreciate what he taught me. The world doesn't owe us anything. If we want something in life, we have to earn it.
Damn right about that. So you're starting to sound like the chief here, but so that means I'm guessing your mother was, a military mother, I'm guessing. But tell me about her.
Where was your mother in all this?
Mother was around, but she always seemed to kind of blend into the background. Almost like she was overshadowed by my father. He tends to do that to people.
Sounds just like the chief's mother.
She passed on about 5 years ago.
Oh,
Some airborne
I'm sorry.
virus that swept through the fleet. Happens sometimes when the filters start to break down. I think my father took it pretty hard. After she was gone, he became even more focused on his work. I think that was his way of dealing with the grief.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't mean to bring that up. Sorry about that, but were you and your dad pretty close?
Sounds like a tough upbringing. You don't resent your father at all?
Like I said, it wasn't easy. My father's not the kind of person you bond with, and he wasn't around all that much. Too busy. People counted on him, and he took his duties seriously. Even when he was around, he always seemed a bit distant, like his mind was always somewhere else. Come to think of it, I can't ever remember seeing him smile. Not once. It's like he was always weighed down by all that responsibility.
Wait, how would you see him smile?
I mean, I know he cares about me, but he never really showed it, not in the usual way. I guess the best thing I can say about my father is that I respect him.
I guess that's a fair enough position to be in, but how would you see him smile? Don't you guys have the little face mask thingy covering your mouths all the time? Like, doesn't that... I don't know, maybe they can tell by eye position and all that other stuff because they always have the face masks on. You got me. Let's not change topics. Let's just finish the conversation
I wanna
out,
talk about
actually.
something else.
Like what?
Nothing.
I should go.
See you later.
Thanks for the info, Tally. But yeah, we have that, whatchamacallit. Okay, so we've got a new mission for Garrus and Rex, but we also have these geth activities things, so if the geth are doing anything that might be off the grid of Saren's, I don't know, orders, I guess, maybe they'll have some info there that Tally can bring back to the fleet. I don't know, we'll see. But before we worry about all of that stuff, first we have to go back up here and talk to Caden and then do Codex entries. Hopefully he'll actually talk to me this time instead of saying, "I've wasted enough of your time, Commander." No, Caden, you really haven't. I'm dedicating this time specifically to you and the other crew members, so you haven't wasted my time. But we gotta talk to him. We gotta go to the Dr. Chakwas to, max out our Metagel again. Not that we really need it, but just in case, Never hurts to be more prepared than be less prepared, And then, I think I'll check around, just see if there's anything new to Codex here. So that way, if we have to, we can read them while we're going up there. But yeah, we'll talk to Caden, and then we'll do... was there something in my locker? Nice. What do we got? Kessler, Storm, Reaper. Nothing good, but, they never put anything good in my locker. I could have sworn there was one down this hallway somewhere here. Maybe not. Oh well. But yeah, we'll talk to Caden, we'll go do Codex entries, and then I think we'll be done for the day, because... I don't know. I just wanted to get these crew conversations and Codex entries done today. We'll do more stuff later. Like, we'll go back to the Citadel tomorrow. Well, tomorrow for me. I don't know when it'll be for you guys. And then we'll go... let the cipher kind of start to sink in. We'll do some side missions so that way we have... we have plenty of time, and then we still have that lead to follow up on with Matriarch Benezia's daughter in the Artemis Tau cluster, so we'll go do all that stuff later. But for now, Lieutenant Alenko. We haven't spoken, really. Too much, but...
Commander, do you have a minute?
Oh, good. He's interested in talking now. But yeah, I'm listening.
I always make time for my officers.
Off the record, I think there's something wrong here. This Saren is trading people to aliens for some kind of lost knowledge, but we can't get backup from the Council? Sorry, Commander. There's writing on the wall here, but someone isn't reading it.
Oh, well, yeah, I definitely hear you on that one. They didn't seem too interested in that whole, Shiala. I was mixing up Shiala and Shira, my bad. But yeah, they didn't seem too interested in that. I don't think I mentioned it in the conversation with them, but it was probably in the report, and they didn't mention it. So I definitely hear you. I don't know what they're going to do about it, though.
The council doesn't want to believe anything's wrong. I'd call it human nature, but...
I hear you. It just seems like a group that's been around as long as the council should see this coming. I mean, it's funny, we finally get out here, and the final frontier was already settled. And the residents don't even seem impressed by the view. Or the dangers.
Well, I mean, they've got this whole system going, but they don't want to believe anything's wrong because it would upset the balance of the system that they already have in place. And on a galactic scale, it's probably hard to, make these sorts of even minor adjustments to how their political policy is. But speaking of impressed by the view, you sound like a romantic here. Forgive me for saying that, but I heard that from Dr. Chakwas already.
Well, you're a romantic. Did you sign on for the dream, Malenko? Secure a man's future in space?
I mean, I did that, but not joking
I
around
read a
with
lot
you.
of those books when I was a kid, where the hero goes to space to prove himself worthy of a woman he loves, or, for justice.
Oh, here he goes again.
Maybe I was romantic in the beginning, but I thought about it after brain camp. Biotic acclimation and temperance training. I'm not looking for the dream. I just want to do some good. See what's out here.
That's admirable.
Sorry if I got too informal. Protocol wasn't a big focus back in Bot.
Protocol isn't a big focus on this ship, to be fair.
Tell me about it.
Biotic acclimation and temperance didn't last past the airlock. To the kids they hauled in, it was brain camp. Sorry, hauled in is unkind. We were encouraged to commit to an evaluation of our abilities so an understanding of biotics could be compiled. There are worse results of accidental exposure to element 0 in the womb. Beats the brain tumors some kids grew up with.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty fair. Would she doubt that it was accidental? I think she'd be more worried about the survival rate than the accidental part.
Seems like you beat the odds. How many didn't make it?
Out of 100, maybe 60 have no effect. 30 suffer adverse effects, little things like brain cancer.
That's not little,
The other
Lieutenant.
10 show enough ability to augment with implants. Not always permanent, though. Not like the cancer. Next thing you know, you're out on jump 0. And how's a kid supposed to deal with that? A station at the edge of human space.
Yeah, that's a pretty difficult situation, I imagine. Would we even ask about intentional exposure? I guess we'll ask about it. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's kind of... I think he's kind of implying it, too, so maybe we'll ask about it.
You know of any intentional exposures for certain?
No one knows. Doesn't mean they didn't happen. As big as the exposures were, it was hard to track down accidentals. It was different then. No one knew the potential, so there wasn't a lot of regulation. Anything Kinetics did was gold. I'm not saying they intentionally detonated drives over our outposts, but in retrospect, they were damn quick on the scene.
I guess that's a good point. They might have had a hand in all of it. Although I can't say that it wasn't helpful, because Kinetics was pretty good about getting L1s into me as soon as I hit... Well, not as soon as Shepard hit puberty, but pretty close after that. As soon as she got the money, let's just say that much. It's about Jump Zero.
Jump Zero is Gagarin Station, right? What's it like?
Yeah, that's the official name. Biggest and farthest facility we had for decades. Right on the termination shock, the outer edge of the solar system. It's where they did all the Goose Chase FTL research before we caught on to using mass effect fields. It was a sterile research platform when I was there.
Yeah, I mean, that figures. So, how many friends did you have there? I imagine a lot of you probably bonded because you were all in the same situation.
There were other kids in the same boat, right? At least you weren't alone out there.
That's true. We did have a little circle that'd get together every night before lights out. We didn't have much to do, though. It was a research platform then, and Kinetics kept Jump Zero off the extranet to prevent leaks.
Yeah. Time to swap stories then about... Well, would they really have too much to talk about? I don't know when they brought them into Bot. Or Jump Zero, I guess you could call them. I don't know when they brought them in. Probably like 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, probably time to share stories, although I don't know if they'd have any interesting ones. I guess it doesn't really matter if they're interesting, because it's just a matter of passing the time, but...
And you must have had plenty of time to get to know each other.
Yeah, we'd sit around and bull every night after dinner, play cards, cards or network games. There was this girl named Rana who had a little circle grow up around her.
Oh, there's a girl
She was
involved
from
in this
Turkey.
story.
Her family was very rich, but she was smart and charming as hell. Beautiful, but not stuck up about it. Like you, I guess. Ma'am.
Okay, well, we'll just shrug off that compliment. I appreciate it, but it sounds like you liked her more than liking.
Sounds like she was special to you.
She was. Maybe she felt the same, but things never felt together. Training, you know.
Yeah, I know how it goes. You get put on a different unit than somebody, and then you never really see him again. Makes sense. So keep going then. Let's hear this whole story.
Jump Zero's a long way from home. What was it like?
The grand gateway to humanity looks a lot better in the vids.
I imagine.
This was supposed to be a casual debrief, not a bull session about stuff that happened years ago.
Well, it's not a big deal, Caden. I mean, like I said, I actually didn't tell you. I told the chief this, but I used this time to get to know my crew better, so.
We have to depend on each other in combat. I like knowing what kind of man I have at my back.
I understand, ma'am. I won't let you down.
Good to hear, Lieutenant.
Make a habit of getting this personal with everyone?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, does it bother you that it's this informal? I know you've been in several postings before this, and it probably wasn't this informal ever, so does it bug you?
No, I don't. We'll talk again later.
That was the wrong thing to say.
I'll need some time to process that, Commander. But, yeah, I'd like that.
Let's just pretend she didn't just deliberately flirt with him and pretend like she said, well, yeah, it's pretty much the entire crew I talked to that about, you know. Do you mind? And then he said, no, I'd like if you talked to me again like this. It's nice. Reminds me of Brain Camp without the, you know, training. Yeah, that didn't go as well as it could have. We got the thing that was over there for the Codex entry. I'm just exploring around, making sure I got all of them. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have gotten the heat load monitor here and gotten the Codex entry for that. And for this. I don't know why we need 2 Codex entries for heat load monitors, but I don't know. Gunnery station, here we go. And another one. Alright, that's fine. I don't think Joker has anything new to say. Yeah, I don't think he has anything new to say unless you hang up on the council. I think he says something if you do that, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I know Presley and Dr. Chakwas don't have anything new to say for the rest of the entire game once you talk through all of their dialogue, which is kind of a shame because some of them it would be nice to get to know who they were a little bit better, but I guess they kind of have shared their stories, for the most part, already to us. Okay, let's do these Codex entries. Thankfully, it shouldn't be nearly as many as we did with the Citadel there. I don't think there's that many primaries, honestly. I think there's the one for the Thorian, and then there's one down here. So it's mostly secondary stuff now, although there's a lot of it. Aliens, aliens, aliens. Aliens here. Ships and vehicles. Okay, so we got aliens, non-sapient races, and then ships and vehicles. So we'll do these 3 secondary entries, I think. We'll do these 3 secondary entries after we listen to the non-sapient creatures one, and then we'll do ships and vehicles at the same time. So let me just get ready because I'm going to be reading for a little while here. Oh boy. All right, here we go. Is this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a new one because we would have gotten this from Shiala back on Pharos because we haven't gotten anything on the Asari really yet. The Asari military resembles a collection of tribal warrior bands with no national structure. Kind of sounds like the Volus, actually. Each community organizes its own unit as the locals see fit, and elect a leader to command them. Units from populous cities are large and well-equipped, while those from farm villages may be only a few women with small arms. There's no uniform, everyone wears what they like. The Asari military is not an irregular militia, however. Those who serve are full-time professionals. The average Asari huntress is in the maiden stage of her life and has devoted 20 to 30 years to studying martial arts. Wow, that's quite a lot of dedication. Asari choose to be warriors at a young age, and their education from that point is dedicated to sharpening the mind and body for that sole purpose. When they retire, they possess an alarming proficiency for killing. No doubt, considering they trained in martial arts for 30 years, and then they... Asari live longer, don't they? than most races. I think we find that out later, but they probably are at it for a long time. Huntresses fight individually or in pairs, depending on the tactics preferred in their town. One-on-one, a huntress is practically unbeatable, possessing profound tactical insight, a hunter's eye, and a dancer's grace and alacrity. I don't know what alacrity means, but I think I pronounced it right. Biotics are common enough that some capability is a requirement to be trained as a huntress. Lack of biotic talent excludes a young Asari from military service. Wow. It's kind of asshole-ish, although the Asari are the most powerful biotics in the galaxy, so I guess that could be a reason why they do that. While fluid and mobile, Asari can't stand up in a firestorm the way a Krogan, Turian, or human could. Since their units are small and typically lack heavy armor and support weapons, they are almost incapable of fighting a conventional war, particularly one of a defensive nature. So Asari units typically undertake special operations missions. Sounds like they were made for the Spectres. Like an army of ninja, they are adept at ambush, infiltration, and assassination, demoralizing and defeating their enemies through intense, focused guerrilla strikes. As a popular Turian saying puts it, the Asari are the finest warriors in the galaxy. Fortunately, there are not many of them. Well, yeah, because if there were a lot of Asari huntresses, first of all, the culture probably would be a lot different for the Asari, and second of all, would anybody have lasted to join the council if their military might was that great? I don't think anybody would have, because the Solarians definitely couldn't have stood up to them. You know, those guys. Anyway. The Turian homeworld, Palaven, has a metal-poor core, generating a weak magnetic field and allowing more solar radiation into the atmosphere. Ouch. To deal with this, most forms of life on Palaven involve some form of metallic exoskeleton to protect themselves. Their reflective plate-like skin makes Turians less susceptible to long-term low-level radiation exposure, but they do not possess any sort of natural armor, like the Krogan do. A Turian's thick skin does not stop projectiles and directed energy bolts. No, that would be a little bit difficult to kill, then. Though life on Palaven is carbon-based and oxygen-breathing, it is built on dextro-amino acids. This places the Turians in a distinct minority on the galactic stage. The Quarians are the only other known sapient dextroprotein race. The food of humans, Asari, or Solarians who evolved in levo-amino acid-based biospheres will at best pass through Turian systems without providing any nutrition. At worst, it will trigger an allergic reaction that can be fatal if not immediately treated. Wow. That sucks. They probably have to go to separate restaurants just to get food on the Citadel. Man, that's no good. We read the rest of those already, so that's good. Extinct races. We read data disks already, didn't we? It's just a cipher now, I think. The Prothean Beacon downloaded its knowledge into Lieutenant Commander. I'm just Commander, Shepard, not Lieutenant Commander. Get this right, Codex VI. Write this stuff down. On Eden Prime, causing confusing dreams and visions. While the imagery is becoming clearer with time, the meaning of the beacon communication remains elusive. It has been suggested that Prothean data recording is highly dependent on a certain point of view, what Carl Jung described as the collective unconscious. The cipher needed to comprehend the images implanted in Shepard's mind is the cultural knowledge of a Prothean, the archetypes, biological instincts, and common experiences universal to the race. Since the Protheans have been dead for millennia, it may be impossible to acquire this cipher. Which is not good, but if we give it a few weeks, I'm sure it'll turn something up in my brain. You know, maybe make the vision a little clearer. I don't know. Didn't Ambassador Udina say that Dr. Tassoni was the researcher, Matriarch Benezia's daughter, out in the Artemis Tau cluster? Excuse me. Didn't he say that she was a Prothean expert? Maybe she'll know something. I don't know. Non-council races, probably on the Krogan and Quarians. Here we go. Oh, on the Geth, too, because we faced Geth armatures and hoppers in there that we haven't seen before. Armatures are quadruped, all-terrain heavy weapons platforms, akin to armored fighting vehicles of other races. They don't have bulldozer tracks on them, so I imagine they're harder to get around, but okay, whatever. Geth being synthetic intelligences, armatures are not crude vehicles, but intelligent entities capable of independent decision-making and learning. Probably has a lot more processing power than a normal Geth, too. Armatures are equipped with heavy kinetic barriers. Their main cannon, mounted on the articulated head turret, appears to be a highly efficient conventional mass accelerator. It is capable of firing in anti-personnel and anti-tank modes. And they've been firing mostly in anti-tank modes because I haven't been bothering to fight the Geth on foot with, well, an armature on foot. Because that would be really hard. Some armatures carry drones into battle, presumably for reconnaissance purposes. Others host a swarm of insect-sized repair microbots. probably to keep them alive for longer. Although I don't remember if we actually face one of those in the game. Maybe. Maybe it makes the shields happen faster. I don't know. Come back faster, that's what I meant. Hoppers. The Geth models, collectively dubbed Hoppers by Alliance forces, are electronic warfare platforms. They can project electromagnetic radiation across a broad spectrum as an offensive weapon. They can also perform cyber warfare attacks against the onboard computers of body armor, hard suits, and weapons, adversely affecting their performance. So they're kind of like computer viruses on legs, you know. The structure of hoppers consists of an advanced and highly elastic artificial muscle material. This allows a hopper to compress its entire body for powerful leaps. Hoppers also have thousands of molecule-scale barbs on the surface of their hands and feet, which are used to cling to walls and ceilings. Hoppers are very difficult targets, as we've seen already, leaping from one surface to another in rapid succession. The Quarians have no record of any Geth models similar to Hoppers. This new morphotype must have been developed over the last 300 years by the Geth themselves. This is troubling proof that the Geth are continuing to move towards technological singularity. Experts in synthetic life are intrigued that the Hoppers appear to be even more organic than the baseline Geth. The identified subtypes of Hopper have been codenamed Sapper, Stalker, and Ghost. They all do different things depending on which one they are. And after this game, we never see them again. I don't know why, but they're a cool concept. They're basically like Sting Chameleon every single time you fight one of them. If you get that reference. If not, then you need to play more Mega Man X games, because he's like one of the most iconic villains in the whole damn series. But the point is that the Geth turn into just these, walking tanks basically for the rest of the series after this, which doesn't really make any sense. I wonder if that was just a design choice on the part of Mass Effect 2, and then they were like, when they went to Mass Effect 3 and they went back to a simpler story, they're like, well, shit. We had the Hoppers, then they were gone. Do we bring them back? It might be hard to program. And, there's a lot more outside fighting in Mass Effect 3, so it's harder to program something that can jump around like that to jump all over the walls when there's not that many walls. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that, because I didn't really tell you what we're fighting, but that's for later. We'll find that out later. Krogan culture. The harsh Krogan homeworld conditioned the Krogan psychology for toughness, just as it did the body. Krogan have always had a tendency to be selfish, unsympathetic, and blunt. Unsympathetic, and blunt. They respect strength and self-reliance, and are neither surprised nor offended by treachery. The weak and selfless do not live long. In their culture, looking out for number one is simply a matter of course. Survival of the fittest, you know how that goes. After their defeat in the rebellions, the very concept of Krogan leadership was discredited. Where a warlord could once command enough power to bring an entire solar system to heel and become overlord, these days it is rare for a single leader to have more than 1,000 warriors swear allegiance to him. Most Krogan trust and serve no one but themselves. And, that was probably part of the old versus new warlords trying to fight each other after the war was over. So, this solitary attitude stems in part from a deep sense of fatalism and futility, a profound social effect of the genophage that caused Krogan numbers to dwindle to a relative handful. I imagine the nuclear winter that happened directly before the genophage didn't help them either. Not only are they angry that the entire galaxy seems out to get them, the Krogan are also generally pessimistic about their race's chances of survival. The surviving Krogan see no point in building for the future, because there will be no future. The Krogan live with an attitude of kill, pillage, and be selfish. For tomorrow, we die. Honestly, I can't say I blame them, considering the situation they're in, but, Quarian law and defense. Although the Conclave establishes civil law as much as any planet-based democracy, enforcement and trials are more unique. After the flight from the Geth, there were few constables to police the millions of civilians aboard the fleet, so the Navy parceled out Marine squads to maintain order and enforce the law. Today, Quarian Marines have evolved training and tactics akin to civilian police, but remain adept at combat in the confined spaces of a starship, and fully under the command of the military. Once taken into custody, the accused is brought before the ship's captain for judgment. While the ship's council may make recommendations, tradition holds that the captain has absolute authority in matters of discipline. Most are lenient, assigning additional or more odious maintenance tasks aboard the ship. Persistent recidivists? Is that how you pronounce that? They need to stop using these big words in these Codex entries. I'm not that well educated. Persistent recidivists are accidentally left on the next habitable world. Yeah, I see. Accidentally, This practice of abandoning criminals on other people's planets is a point of friction between the Quarians and the systems they pass through. Yeah, I imagine that would be something that they would get angry about. Captains rarely have another choice. With space and resources at a premium, supporting a non-productive prison population is not an option. I mean, they could just throw them out the airlock. See what I did there? You'll hear that sentence a lot more as the series goes on. In the early years, many Quarian freighters were armed and used as irregular privateers. Civilian ships still show a strong preference for armament, making them unpopular targets for pirates. Though they have rebuilt their military, there are still mere hundreds of warships to protect tens of thousands of ships. The Quarian Navy follows strict routines of patrol and takes no chances. If the intent of an approaching ship can't be ascertained, they shoot to kill. And again, can't really blame them considering they have the entire fleet to keep in mind when they're shooting. So, Quarian religion. Excuse me. I don't know if Tally talked about this. She did talk about how her ancestors were, though. You know, it's all these respected traditions and stuff, so I guess that makes sense. The ancient Quarians practiced ancestor worship. Even after abandoning faith for secularism, Quarians continued to revere the wisdom of elders. As time passed and technology advanced, they inevitably turned their knowledge into preserving the personalities and memories of the elderly as computer virtual intelligences. So, that whole cryogenic thing, except computerized. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point, but I don't know if it'll work. These recordings became a repository of knowledge and wisdom, stored in a central databank and available through any extranet connection. They held no illusions that this was a form of immortality. Like all virtual intelligences, their electronically preserved ancestors were not truly sapient. This was considered a surmountable problem. Oh god, I see where this is going. Sapience could surely be reduced to simple mathematics. And this is how they got to the geth, right? The Quarians began exhaustive research into creating artificial intelligence so they could learn to escape the bounds of mortality and give their ancestral records true awareness. Unfortunately, the life the Quarians created did not accept the same truths they did. The geth destroyed the ancestor databanks when they took over. Yeah, so this was all a religious matter. They were trying to keep their ancestors alive in order to have their knowledge for all eternity, and they ended up creating a sapient race of robots that ended up kicking them all off their homeworld. That sucks. That's pretty bad. In the centuries since they evacuated their homeworld, most Quarians have returned to religion in various forms. Many believe that the rise of the geth and the destruction of their ancestors were chastisement for arrogantly forsaking the old ways and venerating self-made idols. Others have a more philosophical outlook, believing that their race was indeed arrogant, but no supernatural agency lay behind the geth revolt. Rather, the Quarians' actions wrought their own doom. I think I believe that a little bit more. Either way, every Quarian would agree that their own hubris cost them their homeworld. It's quite a story. I really like the Quarians' background in this series because it's probably one of the most interesting ones. They, especially considering all the advancing technology we have nowadays, they tried to create some of the most advanced technology that the galaxy's ever seen in order to keep their past alive, and in doing so, they created one of the most powerful synthetic races in the galaxy that then proceeded to kick them off their homeworld and shoot down anybody that tried to come back. It's a... what am I trying to say? There's some sort of word for the Greek tragedy that goes on here. I forget what it is, though. It's been a little while since I took humanities class. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering it. But that's what it is. It's a Greek tragedy, basically, of some kind. On a more collective scale, because most Greek tragedies were focused around a single person. In this case, it's the whole Quarian people. But, I think the same principle pretty much holds.